I'm Randy Cassingham, founder, publisher, and chief cameraman at ThisIsTrue.com, the longest running entertainment newsletter on the internet. Today we're going to get a little bit meta. The first question comes from me. Do I answer all questions in the order received? No, which will become more evident in a minute. It comes down to whether I'm really interested in the question, but that's whether I answer it or not. But some questions, they're interesting, but I really need to think about them for a little while. I also gather them together in kind of a subject order if I'm going to be doing a couple, like today. Let's see. Gary in Texas is the real first question. What's the hardest part about doing these videos? Doing the videos. It's a different part of my week. It's not something I'm really scheduled for. So it's like, oh yeah, I should do a video. So I whip out my camera. I try not to do it when there's a lot of people in the business center because I don't want to bother them by speaking in full voice. The offices are enclosed, but they're not enclosed. Not only do we have the slats in the doors, but we've got significant holes in the walls. I'm looking up, 5 feet of open space into the next office, and then about 3 feet at the top of this wall, and 1.5 feet at the bottom of this wall. And the reason for that is they can't make them completely enclosed, because if they're completely enclosed, they have to have individualized fire systems. I don't know. Yeah, I do have a sprinkler up there, and there is a sprinkler in the next office. If we make them fully enclosed, it gets very odd with maritime law and insurance and all that stuff. So it's a private office, but it's not soundproof at all. You might be able to hear somebody in the background who's also talking in full voice. I don't know if he's on the phone or what, but or a Zoom call or whatever. But we definitely can hear each other talking. Not necessarily can we understand what they're saying. I can't quite understand what he's saying, and he probably can't really discern what I'm saying either. But that's another aspect of doing these videos. The thing I don't like the most is the sound quality. I know that you can hear creaking, although I can't hear it right now. We are moving, we are at sea, and as we rock, things creak. You can't make everything totally solid. There's some creaking there. Yeah, so you probably can hear that. You might be able to hear the voice. You can always hear engine noise here. I liken it to being on the Starship Enterprise, where there's always some background noise, and of course that's sciencey and cool. But the reality is, I think that's from the U.S. Navy. I think Gene Roddenberry was a Navy pilot. I'll have to look that up. I'll put it on the screen, whether I'm right or not. But a lot of his concepts for how Starfleet worked came from his military days. Not just the ranks, but what was life like. And, life on a ship is somewhat noisy. It's not bothersome. It's not terrible, but it's there. I mean, you can hear the hum of the engines all the time. And even when we're in port, yep, because when we're in port, there's an engine running to give us power. So we've got 4 propulsion engines and I believe 4 generators. And they all run on the same fuel, so they sound very much alike, and I can't actually tell when they shut down the propulsion engines, because there's always an engine running. So, but I can tell sometimes when they're starting up an engine when we're leaving a port, because it makes it vibrates in a certain way, and you can tell they're starting up an engine. So let's see what's next. Yes, this is the big one. Steve in Norway. In pseudo-classic AMA style, you are answering questions on camera, unscripted, and with little or no editing. Although episode 14's voiceover insertions count as editing. Yes, they do. And so do putting things in the, like, here, let me put the thing about my shirt. Where was I? There we are. Yet your speech is clean in that I do not hear any ums or uhs. Is this natural or something you learned? And if you learned it, can you share any tips? There's enough right there. My immediate response when I saw Steve's question was, have you been listening? I hear them all the time, and it's because I am so sensitive to it, because I have had training in see, there's another one. God, see, when I'm thinking about it, then I really hear them. I did do Toastmasters, because I remember the first time I gave a talk for This Is True. I'm trying not to say It's a real habit. I mean, people do that, and it's kind of natural. People don't like to have quiet times. They think they always have to have noise coming out of their mouth if they're speaking, and we don't. It's okay. People are fine with pauses when you try to think of for a word or something. It's okay. Yet we fill things with and like and and I do it too. If you really listen for it, you'll hear it. But how do you stop it? The best way is to get somebody to let you know every time you do it. At the top of the hour. That's the chime on my phone. So just let you ever know, in Toastmasters, which is how I learned to really reduce mine, if not eliminate them. In Toastmasters, they have somebody that it's their job to count how many times you do those fillers, the ums and the uhs. And in a very professional Toastmasters group, or a very strict one, that person will actually have a bell, like that, the hotel bells, where every time they hear ding, well, ding, ding, and you do anything. I'm going to edit that out. There was a phone call, so I dismissed it to voicemail. So I was talking about Toastmasters and having the bell. So yeah, you'll do anything to keep from having that bell ring. And what you do is you think harder. You realize it's okay not to have every second, every millisecond filled with something coming out of your mouth. It's okay to pause briefly. And let's see, Steve also asks, does this count as a meta question since it's about your AMA series? Yes. I'm going to cut it short. I've been kind of long lately, so let's see. I think this is under 10 minutes. So I'm Randy Cassingham. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk at you later.